So, hello and welcome to our podcast. Today we have with us Jeremy Martin, who is CTO of FetcherAI. Without further ado, let's start. Welcome, Jeremy, to our podcast. Eh, Let's start maybe with your introduction and with your journey.
Thanks, Shahzad, for having me. Actually, maybe I should say that again. Thanks, Shahzad, for having me. I'm happy to be here. Sure. So, as you mentioned, like my current role is CTO of FetcherAI. I'll say that I'm a lifelong computer nerd. So I've been doing computers and trying to develop software since I was around 12 years old when I got into something called BBSs. And from there, I've had a lifelong love of computers. Went to school and got a bachelor's degree in computer information systems and business. Then decided to go on and get a master's degree while working for Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Stayed there for about 15 years, leading various teams in the investment banking side and risk management. And after around 15 years of various leadership positions, I realized that when I was 12 years old and I got into computers is because I wanted to be writing software for people that would get enjoyment out of using it. And working for a bank, most of my customers were internal. So I made the shift to go work for SaaS companies after that and left Bank of America, went and worked for a company called Diligent, which was all about secure collaboration software for board of directors and C-level executives, probably for any company you've ever heard of, most likely uses Diligent software. And then after 4 or 5 years of building teams there, I got an opportunity to come work at Fetcher as a CTO. And for me, I was excited about that opportunity to really make a strategic impact and help a smaller startup, SaaS-based startup become, something much, much bigger. And so I've been here for a little bit over a year and, just having lots of fun building fun products.
Very interesting. And tell us a little bit about your business, the business of Fetcher, the solution that you provide.
Yeah, absolutely. So Fetcher is a play on words about the act of sourcing in the HR recruitment space. So if you think of Fetcher as like something like that you do is you go and fetch people for jobs. What the problem domain that our solution solves is anyone who's been a hiring manager in the tech space or anywhere, usually you have a job position, you work with somebody in HR, that person in HR listens to the hiring manager about what the job description is, and then either themselves or they have a team of recruiters that go out and scour the internet and send emails and send LinkedIn messages to potential candidates to get to then have like an initial conversation to see if there's like a good fit. And I'm sure almost all of us have gotten these very generic emails about a project management job for 3 months in like a state that you're not in. That's all done. It's all part of like the sourcing process. So what Fetcher tries to do is automate that. So instead of relying on humans to do all of the searching and going across different internet platforms, we actually do all the searching for you as a smart-based search. Highlight candidates that are a really good fit for your job position based on your inputs, and then help with sending emails that are personalized on your behalf out to candidates to help get them, to help find a match for people who are going to be interested in your job, and then also track when they respond to make it available and visible to the recruitment team that this person is interested and they're a good fit for your job. So we try to automate a lot of that manual process of finding candidates for jobs and getting that into the hands of the recruiter and eventually the hiring manager. So that's what Fetcher does. It's a service that we offer.
So in this way, your end users are talent acquisition recruiters. And is it like that? Tell us about your clients. I see that there is actually a whole range of clients you have. And what kind of maybe technology then you are using for SaaS?
Yeah, so you're right. Our typical customer is going to be a talent acquisition specialist. We tend to do well with small, medium, and mid-sized companies. where maybe they have 1 or 2 people in HR and 1 or 2 people that are sourcing, and they need to like scale that up because they need to hire consistently 10 roles at a time or 15 roles at a time. We're a force multiplier for those customers. That's like our bread and butter. Then our next use case that's been coming up a lot of our customers are shops that specialize in doing this work, and again use us as a force multiplier, a way for them to become more efficient. So a company may contract with them to fill a bunch of roles, and they use us as a tool, as a service to help them fulfill their contract for the company they've been hired to. So two primary use cases, two primary types of customers: internal HR departments, not necessarily for like huge, Fortune 100 companies, at least not yet, but definitely those companies that need some help, some way to be really efficient with their hiring, and then also recruitment shops themselves that specialize in this.
Yeah, interesting. You already mentioned something about scale, but let's say this time scale about your own solution. So how do you plan to scale? What is the underlying technology, and how would you be able to quickly cope as the demand increase of your solution?
Sure. So I'm fortunate enough in my career here at Fetcher that the solution is fairly new. So the tech stack is a little bit more modern than something that I've worked on in the past. So Fetcher was born after everything being cloud native was normal, which means that for us, we're all in on AWS, and we leverage as much AWS native offerings as possible to help us work on the key business problem versus building infrastructure. So when it comes to databases, we use RDS, we use Dynamo. When it comes to like infrastructure, we're primarily container based, Lambda based, and this gives us the ability to be able to scale up processing or handling additional customer requests. Probably our biggest scaling challenge to date has been on just handling the amount of data that we have on candidates. And I assume we'll talk about privacy and later on in the conversation, but we essentially have a database of people's profiles that are available on the internet, their job experience and stuff. It's around like 90 to 100 million profiles in North America and some in Europe. And being able to search through that quickly, get results that are accurate and meaningful to our customers in a timely manner, making sure that we can scale properly there requires consistent and constant just refactoring of our implementation.
Yeah, perfect. And how about if what is, let's say, kind of cost consideration when a business tries to adopt your solution? I mean, what could be like generally, you already mentioned something about, okay, it's small and medium organization, but let's also think about, let's say, large corporate or large enterprises, which could have somehow also, let's say, a potential to do the in-house development. So in that case, what would you say?
Sure. So I'm not a salesperson by heart, or even a marketing person, though. I've taken classes on both. But what our analysis shows is for a typical company to do what we are able to help with, which is source and find a candidate, to make a hire. When you take into account all the hours from sourcing, et cetera, it's close to $4,000 to $6,000. It costs a company in their own internal time to be able to find a hire. And our cost calculator tool or cost savings tool that we've used, looking at what we charge customers and the time to get to a hire, we're able to do that at about 30 to 40% of the cost. So if internally it takes you $4,000 to $6,000 to find a hire, we feel in Fetcher the cost is around $1,200 to $1,600 to find a hire.
Yeah, I think that's pretty significant on a scale. We already mentioned about data and privacy, and as you see that there are more and more regulations. For example, in Europe we have GDPR, and there is coming EU AI Act, which kind of classify AI applications into, let's say, the one especially that deals with the human decision making and decision making for human in high risk. So how do you handle these questions about data privacy, safety, security, and making use of human data for making decision for them?
Sure. So I'll focus my answer mostly on what exists at the beginning, and then I'll talk about what we're doing for things looking forward, right? So we do operate in Europe. We do have several customers in Europe. We have a database of folks in Europe, which means we are adherent. We do have to comply with GDPR, particularly the right to forget provisions. We handle that in a couple of different ways. On our product, on our website, we have a way to submit a right to forget request, and we honor that. We also have partnered with an external vendor that consolidates requests on behalf of EU citizens. So it's a service where if they sign up for it, these companies will go and basically do like a mass request for right to forget request, and we honor that. We have open integrations with several of these in order to make sure that we don't have data on people who've asked for us to not have data on. And then finally, with some of the data brokers that we use to source our data as part of our requirements with them, we get updates on anyone that they know of that have asked for privacy restrictions, right, for their data to be erased. And so we do process it. The last thing I'd say is, even outside of the EU, the UK has their own version of the GDPR, and we honor it with the same controls that I just mentioned, but we're also partnering with, I think it's the ICO, to go through an audit of our processes and controls to make sure that we're in compliance even outside of the EU. So that's what we're doing now. You mentioned, some of these additional regulations that are being considered in the EU and then also in the US. We're constantly monitoring those and trying to think of how that impacts our business and what controls we would need to put in place. Ultimately, when it comes to making a decision about a human, because our software doesn't ultimately make a decision, it's our customers. We present people to our customers, and it's their determination whether or not they want to reach out and contact someone. What we work on primarily is to make sure that our algorithms have no bias on any specific characteristic on who we present as candidates. And that's how we feel that we're able to comply and consider privacy and anti-bias measures.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your detailed answer. And let's maybe move to a little bit more towards the AI and algorithm part. Recently, we already see this year, the huge influx of large models, LLM, ChatGPT, and so on. So how does in-general AI disrupt the industry where you provide the solutions? And also, how does AI aid into your solution?
It's a great question. I don't think that the introduction of these LLMs, Bard, ChatGPT, I don't think they've disrupted our industry yet, but I think it's coming. I was thinking about this the other day and trying to see if there was a parallel, at least in my career, and when we've had this kind of transformational shift. And the closest thing I could come to was cloud computing. When cloud computing became a thing, there was a lot of hype, but it took a while before it was well, yeah, we use cloud computing. And I feel like we're at the same inflection point when it comes to, in particular, LLMs, right? And generative AI. I think everyone realizes the potential for it, but I'm not sure that it's been a complete disruptor in our industry. It's a bit different, if you're Google or Bing, and you're worried about search results where people can bypass that. But for what we do, the closest thing that we've considered doing, or we see our competitors doing, is with generating email outreaches or chatbots, those types of things. And I don't know if I necessarily consider those disruptors yet. So that was that's kind of my feeling on it. Now, in the future, how can we leverage it? I think I think this in general about AI. I'm not someone who's scared about it. I think AI is these tooling are going to only make good products, good engineers, good processes better, and it's going to reveal maybe the products and the processes and engineers or whoever does their job that aren't that well. I think they won't. I think that's where the risk is. But the ones that are really good, I think it's going to make the cream rise higher to the top than it already is, because I think they augment and increase the potential for good things to continue to excel.
Well, that's, I think I also have in a way like very similar opinion. I think it's like, yes, we used to, I've been also programming for a long time. And it's just like we use programming with the help of Google and with Stack Overflow a lot. So more senior you become, more intelligently you find out how to solve some problem quickly. And, the models that are here, they are potentially aiding and then making maybe experts more experts, and probably the middle layer or early layer, they may suffer a bit uh, because of the productivity expectations. And what do you see on the other side of spectrum from the consumer and customer side? What could be impact on them, because you're dealing with HR and talent acquisition people, and let's say content creation and process is one of those areas where large models are providing a lot of aid.
Oh wow. So that's really a sticky wicket, right? It just looked like in LA right now, you've got actors and screenwriters that essentially are on strike. There's more to it than it's more nuanced than to say just AI, right? But certainly, the use of AI for actors or even for writing, right, for creative, is one of the key things. So. I don't know how it's going to turn out. At first blush, it's like, oh no, that would never happen. But um, you can use some of these LLMs to let. I think I'm going to go back to my previous answer. If left unchecked, I still think that the most creative writers in the world, they'll use generative AI to be better, right? To get the skeleton out there, and then they add in the bits that really make it better and really wow us, right, in terms of creativity. I think for for actors, that one maybe for me seems like a little scarier, because I've seen some of these deep fakes and they're really hard to see. I know you asked about a lot of industries, but for me, for whatever reason, like honing in on when you said creative, I think of the Hollywood, right? Just the film industry. And that really resonates as an area that I think we need to watch if there's political will to limit the use of AI here. Because I think it could be an existential threat, not to everything, but certainly to really upend that industry.
No, absolutely. And exactly. I think it's really on an inflection point. It's very, very difficult to cope up with. Everybody cannot just jump in and, change their direction right away. Well, interesting. Now, if what would be, based on your experience, what could be an advice if you would like to give to CTOs or CEOs who are going to adopt AI in their solutions? Any lessons learned, or any stories, or any ideas that you'd like to share based on your experience?
Yes. I assume we'll talk later about like the privacy concern, like some of the like obvious gotchas. But what I would say to any CTO or CEO considering, hey, let's throw AI into our product, is where the off the shelf solutions are today is like the 70-30 rule. I think you can quickly get to 70% something usable, but there's still that 30% where it goes haywire or wrong. And so to be very cautious about rolling out complete AI solutions without some kind of human oversight or some kind of controls or an eject button. But I think that there are now offerings, particularly on the natural language processing, right? We're talking mostly about LLMs here, where you can integrate them into your products fairly quickly with things that are off the shelf, but you can't leave them by themselves to get everything right 100% of the time. And they're really hard to monitor. So if you put it into a high transaction product and you get 1 million requests and 700,000 of them are great, but 300,000 of them are not, I don't think that we're at the accuracy level yet, right, in 2023 to just completely fire and forget with these things. So be very cautious, be very what's the word I'm looking at? Precise. Start with small use cases where it makes sense and have some kind of oversight over it. I think we've all seen in the news multiple instances of quick rollouts of something that's AI and then quick rollbacks after it starts hallucinating, or unfortunately when nefarious people find ways to make it do things that you as the CEO or the CTO don't want your customers to have that experience.
Well, very, very interesting. And that also means that that is what I was also heading. So that if I sum up, it's like, be careful, 70%, 30%. So it's not really like everything is readily available. And that's also my experience. For example, we had this moment in, voice assistants some years ago, where you are like 90% okay, but then you are annoyed because every 10th sentence is really annoying, or every 5th sentence, and that limit the adaptation of technology. But an interesting point then comes because now the situation is that almost every product, every company, they want to integrate AI and at least these conversational capabilities, right? It seems to be like it has taken, because we work in AI services also, so it's like taking a lot of attention. So do you think that it makes a good case for AI services team, that our product, the customers or consumers to, should they be like kind of experimenting in-house, or it should be a good case for AI service companies or technology companies, or some experts who are, I don't know, prompt engineering experts, the LLMs, and this technology is even changing every day. So what do you think that how could these companies, if they have to start something integrating, 70-30 and make it, I don't know, 99-1%, what could be a way for them?
Well, I'd start small. Start small with how you roll it out. Advertise that it's beta, and use basically self-feed itself with your training data. So I think the integration in with these models to get it into a product, again, I don't want to say that it's easy, but it's easier. Certainly it's way easier than it was 2 years ago to get something working. But the hard part is then to get it perfect. And that's where I think you can implement it into the product, but then you really need some trained specialists, machine learning, AI folks on your team, which if you're an AI services company, you should have, to look at how it's responding and to either give it more data or continue to train it until you get that narrow scope that you want it to work well with. I think if you think that you could just pop Chat GPT in with untrained into your product, you're going to have a lot of problems. I think if you can define a product or a service offering that's narrowly scoped and give it really good data to train on for that narrow scope, and then continue to feed it with a small population, almost like a canary, right? That then you increase who can see it, the number of interactions. I think you'll have more success.
Great. I think great advice. So maybe in the end, I would like to hear about you. What does excites you about AI, if anything? For example, you mentioned already, like this generative AI, a lot of stuff that is, let's say, on negative side, deepfake, but also maybe on positive side, a lot of content creation and so on. So what is something, let's say, from now up to 5 year, 10 year, where do you see AI, and how then you could kind of put it in your roadmap of your solution?
Wow. 5 years from now, I don't think I have any real I I have no idea. Only because if you asked me 5 years ago where I thought AI would be, I wouldn't tell you that I thought that we would have models that could pass the bar exam, for example. So 5 years is such a long time, and 10 years is 10 years is just a little bit further on the horizon. But I think that we'll continue to see it get better and better with predictive, like natural language processing, for sure. It's going to get better and better. I think that we'll be able to use it more for automation of rote tasks with easier inputs using natural language processing. So, well, what I mean by that is today, it takes quite a lot to write software code, as an example, or to explain something complex to get, like, there's a lot of things that seem like they could be automated, but are complex to describe. And it takes way more time to figure out how to tell a computer to do something than it takes to actually do the work. And I think as AI gets better and better, it will be able to translate human interaction or human instructions into something that can easily be automated. That's probably where I see the next couple of years, and probably like the 80-20 rule there. I don't even know on like the generating images, videos. I don't know enough about it to have any kind of prediction. In terms of software development or like product development, like in our space, I'm hoping that we're able to use it more and more to provide a better experience, to a better hit rate or a better success rate with finding candidates that match up with a job. So taking into account additional like transactional data elements that we have, like, hey, this person's been at their current role for 3 years. They're at this level. This job position is one level above. This person usually has advanced their career every 3 to 5 years. This person's probably a good fit for the role that you have just based on this, right? So more predictive analytics. And so therefore it's a better touch point when they get reached about an opportunity, because there's actually two things we're trying to solve. One is to help our customers find candidates they're interested, but there's also the other side of it is we only want to contact people that this is a good opportunity for, so that everybody wins. I'm hoping, I guess to directly answer your question, I'm hoping that with AI continuing to advance, that it's easier to do predictive analytics.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you very much for your opinion and a very detailed answer. And so if I kind of, wrap it up, I think it's like that you see that there is a lot of potential in AI. And yes, at the moment, the large language model, they could be assistive and not maybe ready. And your advice to the people who want to integrate AI solution is to start small and very much focused. So don't try to, solve the very, very large problem, be a bit more experimental. Yeah, really, really nice and interesting to talk to you. So thank you very much again for joining us here today. And yeah, thank you very much also, listeners. And have a nice day.
My pleasure. Thanks, Shahzad. Talk
Thank
to you
you.
later.